have set up our settings, we've understood the fees, we've created a product, we've added inventory, it was buyable on site, and now we've made our first sale. Fantastic. This is an important part of the journey because now you've linked it to a customer experience. They've purchased their item from Macro, and it's your chance to now to make sure you fulfill it on time and within the promised date. So how you will review it is that you will see under your new dashboards, you'll see new orders, but you can also just go to orders, go to active orders, and you'll be able to see the orders. Just remember again, if you have more than one location, it will depend on your location. You have to filter by location to see the orders. Once again, the logic will look at when a customer buys from you, it'll look at your inventory values and it'll look at, well, which is the closest warehouse to the customer that has inventory. So really important to make sure that your inventory, that your collection addresses are accurate, you've added inventory, and that's accurate too. Just a quick note here is once an order has come through to a location, you cannot move it to a different location. Okay, so if you by mistake added inventory to your Bloemfontein collection point, but you don't actually have stock there, and an order came through to your Bloemfontein location, and now you want to move it to your Joburg location, you cannot do that once the orders come through. Once the customer orders come through, that order is locked into that location. So that's a very important point, and that sellers get wrong when they are not careful and accurate with their inventory up front with their multiple locations. Okay, so the first stage, just to explain the different stages here. So when a new order comes in, it'll be in pending label stage. What that means is the new orders come in. The next stage is you need to create the label. Remember that Pick Pack SLA? So whatever business days that you input there per product, that is how many business days you have to execute on this stage, which is to process the label or to create the label. That is the trigger to alert one of our preferred couriers to come collect the order from you. Okay, so we're going to go through what that looks like now. But once you are ready to collect, it'll move. Once you're ready for the courier to collect, you will process the label, and then once the courier does come collect from you, once you've processed the label, it'll move to pending handover stage. That means we're just waiting for you to hand over the order to the courier. Once the courier comes to collect from you and has scanned it, it will move into in-transit stage. Then once the courier has successfully completely delivered it to the customer, that's when it goes to completed ordered stage. Now, these other two stages, one is upcoming orders. That an order will go there if an order comes through in the weekend because you've put your settings at your weekends that you don't work, so it doesn't go through to pending label. It stays in there on the next business day after a weekend, or the next business day if you got an order on one of the holidays that you had updated in your settings. You said you're going to be away during Christmas and you got an order on Christmas Day, it'll move to upcoming orders. If you said you were going to be back at work on the 27th of December, on that 27th of December day, it'll move to pending labels. So that's what upcoming orders is. It's basically when you get an order on a weekend or a public holiday that you had added to your calendar settings. Waiting for Weibull. This is actually just a stage in case there's an issue with the Weibull not generating. Every now and again, the Weibull sometimes battles to generate. Generally what happens is it goes there for a few hours and then it moves to pending handover. Stay tuned for the video where I talk about getting help, because there's a simple email address that you can reach out to if it stays there for longer than a day. Cool, so now if you're ready, so for example, the Samsung Galaxy Tab, you're ready to create the label. What you can do is you can click on the order and click on the generate label button. So the first thing that it's going to ask you to do is, I'd already previously played with this one. It'll have 0 boxes here. If you have a product that is quite bulky, for example, it's a furniture item and you actually want to deliver it in more than one box, what this section allows you to do is to update the number of boxes. Then what you can do is you can update the dimensions. Just read the note here. So if you're doing more than one box, you must update the dimensions to the largest box. So say you're doing it in 2 boxes, and this is the largest box, but you could update the dimensions, and then it's the combined weight. So if you're doing 2 boxes, you'd input the largest box dimension and the combined weight, and then you could click update. But we're just doing it, it's 1 box, it's one product, we don't have to mess with it. So we just leave the product dimensions would have pulled through here. You leave it. Okay, so that's going to be for most of your orders, is it's just 1 box, it's the one product. So when you're ready to create the label, you'll click process label. This is just a message just reminding you that when you process this label, this is triggering the courier to say, you are ready to hand over this to the courier. So a huge call out here is before creating the label, make sure that your Samsung Galaxy Tab or whatever product you have is pretty much ready for collection, because depending on which courier it gets allocated to, they could be there within 30 minutes. Usually, if you do it early enough in the day, if someone will collect it during that day. If it's in the afternoon after 3 p.m., it'll generally be the next day. But if it gets certain couriers like Drop, they can be there within 30 minutes. So once again, I'm really calling this out. When you create the label or process the label, you are indicating to us that you are ready to hand this over. So that if the courier does come in the next 30 minutes, it's your responsibility to successfully hand that over to the courier. I'm not going to confirm this because I don't actually want to process the order, but basically once you click confirm, it'll generate the label, and you need to print out 3 of those, because one's going to go on the product, and one you're going to hand over to the driver, and one you're going to keep for yourself. So that's the process to create the label. And once again, I've really called out, you must make sure the product is ready before you create that label. Okay. And that is basically the most important part about fulfilling an order, is remember to do it within your SLA. Remember that it needs to be ready before you hand it over to the courier. And remember that when the courier does arrive, to successfully hand it over to them. And the stage is completed once the courier has handed over to the customer. It'll move to completed orders, and that's when you've had a successful sale.